Hello, welcome to the December 11th IMU Board of Trustees of Electric, Water, and Communications Utilities. Monica, would you take roll call, please?
Yes, I would love to take roll. Selgrade.
Present.
White.
Present.
Smith.
Present.
Rosca. Voice. Thank you.
At this point, we would entertain anyone wishing to speak from the public. If you'd step to the lectern, state your name and address. I don't think we have any public here tonight. Moving on to consent agenda, I take a first and second motion to approve the consent agenda discussion. So moved.
Second.
We have a resolution approving payment 5 for the Turbine 8 control replacement project. Mike, any additional comments?
No, just standard payment for the work that they've completed.
Any questions for Mike? Any questions or concerns with the claims list that was distributed? Angela said that. Okay. We have several minutes to approve. Let's start with October 9th minutes. Any questions, concerns, updates? If not, November 27th minutes. And then we had a quick meeting on Monday, December 4th, and those minutes are included as well. Any discussion or questions on those? Okay. Moving ahead to the October financial report, Mr. Schull, any comments?
I think this mic is on, green. Is that good?
You're good.
Anyway, Madam Chair, Trustees, the financial report is for the 4 months ended October 31st. Chris does just a great job of kind of explaining exceptions or whatever on what I call the footnote page, which is the last page. And one of the things that happened this time is the audit adjustments, and I picked up a copy of the report from Chris today, traced them in, and they're perfect, so it's a good way to start that. Let's see, the only other thing is, and again, they're obvious, but the depreciation is now a part of the O&M, and it's not in the budget, so those percentages get a little bit, well, they're over the budget, but that's because of depreciation. Other than that, I don't really have anything.
Any questions for Doug or Chris? Okay, thanks, Doug. Thanks, Chris, for all your work on this. Okay, that's the last consent agenda. You want to take roll call? Monica,
Yes.
Please.
Smith.
Approved.
Voice.
Yes.
Selgrade.
Yes.
And White.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consent agenda is approved. Moving on to electric utility information items, Mike.
Yep, upgrade on a couple of things we talked about last couple meetings. Turbine 7, where we had the water leak, we were able to get the heat exchanger out. We're trying to get that source to get it replaced. Some piping down there where we thought we were going to have to bring somebody out of state to do that. We just today were able to get somebody local out of Des Moines to be able, said that they would be able to do that. And then the radiator, this radiator is huge. It's like 4 foot by 14 foot. It's huge. And that's only half of the radiator on this. They were able to get that out today. So now we can try and figure out how we're going to get it to Des Moines, hopefully, and get that fixed. So
They have to pull it with a crane? How'd they get it out?
we used 2 bucket trucks and a forklift to slide it out on the forklift, but it's massive. So, West Iowa sub, we're still waiting on the parts for that. That'll be ongoing here for a couple months before we probably get all the parts on that. And then we just got our crews still working on west side of the square project, and we'll work on that here probably till the end of the month. And Hillcrest, we're kind of getting quite a bit of that done, but it's starting to change out there as well.
Good. Any update or comments on the meeting you had last week on K Street, Highway 92 intersection? The
Yeah,
decision that
K
was
Street
made.
92, so, when was that, a couple weeks ago?
I think it was 2 Thursdays ago.
Something like that, we had a meeting, with the, city and the engineers, and, ultimately, we took a look at it, when we got some updated drawings, at the meeting, that showed, in a little more detail. By looking at those, we feel like we can, or I said, well, I think with a little bit of modifications, we maybe wouldn't even have to underground any of that for now. And so we looked at it a little bit more and come to the agreement that we don't have to underground that all right now. And we can leave that overhead. We've got to move probably a couple poles as part of this, which is, you know, we can do that ahead of time and not hold up the project. And then that undergrounding, we can put that back on a regular schedule, which would be probably in the next 5 to 10 years, we'd underground that as.
Great. That was a great conclusion.
Yeah, I think it works well for everybody.
Good.
So that eliminates the need to order parts and wait for that delay and
Yep.
So that would go just on the previous schedule, about, what, 5 years?
5 to 10 years, we'll have that in there, yep.
Okay.
Okay, other questions for Mike? Okay, thanks, Mike. Moving ahead to the water utility information items, Justin?
Yeah, I don't have anything, kind of just, we're into the winter time, so we're just taking advantage of the nice weather right now. We've been able to walk some of our raw water mains that run through some fields and creeks, make sure everything's still in the ground and not washed away. As well, we've cleaned some trees out of valves that if we ever need to get to. And then we're in the process of starting to change out a bunch of water meters that are at their lifespan. So other than that, we're just.
So how do you have a list of those that are out of life or end of
Yeah,
life?
so the life span on those is supposed to be 20 years. A lot of them have made or passed that, so that's what we're trying to target is those 20-year meters and upgrade them with the latest and greatest. So.
How about those creeks that you were walking? Did they actually have water in them?
No.
Nope,
Nope, they're pretty dry.
It's a good sign, it's not leaking, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Questions for Justin? Thanks, Justin. Communication utility action items. We need a first and second motion to approve the resolution approving a 28E agreement with Cedar Falls. Discussion.
Second.
Okay.
Yep, this is the test and turn-up costs for the OTN equipment and the ongoing yearly maintenance costs. 5 nodes total between CFU, Pella, and IMU. There's one here, obviously, in Pella, Grimes, Des Moines, and Cedar Falls. Updates and changes when we make those need to be made at one time to all the nodes. CFU has the experience and staff to manage it, so it makes sense to let them go ahead and do that. Highlights of the contract, 5-year contract with a 1-year notice to terminate at the end of the 5 years. So that will give plenty of time if anybody ever wanted out of it for the others to make other arrangements. I don't anticipate anybody going anywhere with it, but and then after that 5 years, it's automatically renews for an additional 5 years. So costs were budgeted in for the original OTN bill, so it's something we could find. So. You said Grimes. Do you mean Grinnell? Grinnell, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yep, I'm sorry.
Questions for Kurt on the contract or any other items on that? Okay, Monica, would you take roll call on that, please?
Yes. Selgrade,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Voight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Resolution is approved. And take a first and second motion to approve the resolution approving a 3-year contract with Calix for operations cloud services. So moved.
Second.
Yep, this is a network operations tool for monitoring the network health, provides insights to the system, alarm management, traffic monitoring. As our subscriber base continues to grow, we really need to get a little more robust system and granular reporting tools to understand what the system traffic looks like as we move into the next generation of XGS PON technology. Subscriber density is going to increase, and the need to understand exactly what's happening down at the lower levels, the PON levels, the OTN levels is going to, or the ONT levels is going to be more critical. So We currently use a variety of programs to gain insights, but they're all kind of one-off programs. They don't talk to each other and stuff like that. So we just need a little more robust tool. I had originally planned on putting this into the system in the 2025 budget, but Calix came to us a month or so ago and offered a 6-month introductory deal if we were to sign before the end of the calendar year. I think they're trying to boost their numbers. So basically, they're going to give us a 70% discount for the first 6 months. So it seems to be a good thing to jump on. They will also allow us to start in March of 2024, start that 6-month time frame. That gives us a little bit of time to update some ONT stuff as well that we need to do. So the O&M budget can handle the $39.90 costs this year, and we already have the data flow module scheduled for this budget year as well. So that $4,900 was already there.
So you mentioned several other tools. Will those be
Those will go away.
discontinued?
Yeah, we won't need those anymore. So there won't be a ton of cost savings there because a lot of these are like little freebie stuff and lower end stuff, which is why they don't really do everything we need them to do right now. So we do anticipate that, or I anticipate that future year costs will be offset by savings. We won't have the Cisco support contracts going forward for another 4 years. The Connect Des Moines contract will change when we make the connection up there, and the wind transport route will go away. So I'm anticipating we're going to save about $95,000 on transport next year, and then about $116,000 the following year. So that's where I'm anticipating these funds will come from. So,
Okay, great. Questions for Kurt? If not, we'll take a roll call on approval.
Yes. Smith,
Yes.
Voight,
Yes.
Selgrade,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution approved. I take a first and second motion to approve the resolution approving a 3-year contract with Calix for the Service Cloud support. Discussion. Second.
Service Cloud is already something we already have in place. We have that on an annual contract right now. The thought was, since we now have Operations Cloud going forward on a new 3-year contract, we would just sync those two up. So we are in year 2 of the Calix Support Cloud on a 3-year contract. This would start this over as a new 3-year contract, but again, we need Service Cloud to be able to provision the ONT. So I anticipate we would continue to do that in the future. So.
Any room for negotiation on the renewal, or?
No, the price didn't change any. It didn't go up. It stayed the same. They're pretty firm on the Support Cloud stuff. Yeah.
Questions? Monica, would you take roll call on approval for this?
Yes. Selgrade,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution approved. Now we can move into communication utility items.
Yep, the OT and route to Pella is currently lit up and working. We've been running the majority of our internet and TV traffic on it since Thursday. So right now we are headed out of town, headed to Pella up to Grinnell, and then back to Des Moines right now. Everything's been working fine. We'll continue to test this for another week or so, and then we're going to move over to configuring the Indianola Walnut side of the route. So with holidays, KG's got a scheduled vacation coming up right after Christmas, so this will all probably slide into January before we get it completely done. But the first half went really well, and we're very pleased. So.
Awesome.
We're scheduled to complete the NOFA 7 North splicing this week. Talked to Butch and his crew. They're working down south on the NOFA 7 South project. They're still working up there on Lucas, but they're making progress. They hit some sand, so it slowed them down a little bit last week, but they're working their way through it. So they thought they would get at least another weekend. It's like the extended forecast is still good into next week. So
I just heard that before I came in.
so we'll see how long we go. The only other thing, we're scheduled now to go down to Tech next week for 4 to 6 months. We have begun resumes coming in for the open Tech position, so we'll plan to start interviews next week and hopefully make an offer for shortly after the first of the year on that. So get back up to at least 3.
Does your candidate pool look pretty good?
What's that?
Does the candidate pool look pretty good?
It's not bad. I think we got, 5, 6? Yeah, I would say certainly 3 of those look like
Good
good
candidate.
candidates. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Any additional questions for Kurt? Okay, we'll move into the combined electric, water, and communication action items. We have a public hearing regarding an amendment to the fiscal year 24 budget. Entering into the meeting, I need a first and second motion to approve the discussion.
So, second.
You two are right on top of it. Conversation regarding the budget.
Primarily, this budget is, not spending any new money. It's moving what we were hoping to accomplish last year into this year. There are a couple of smaller reprioritizations in there, but the bulk of that is a spending authorization. You'll see, the color out, expected to get those large payments done last year. It moved into this year. That's really what we're trying to accomplish is just rearranging and matching up the timing to when those expenses came in.
Since there's no public here, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions for Chris or Chris related to the amended budget? Okay. Monica, would you take roll call to approve the
Yes.
budget?
Voight,
Yes.
Celebrate,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
The amended budget is approved. We have our discussion and direction on the fiscal year 25 budget. Who's going to kick us off?
All right, good.
This one didn't need a first or second.
Okay.
It's just discussion, right?
Discussion, yeah. So what we have is each of the department heads will go through their CIP plan. But just to kick this off with some global thoughts, I am very happy with what we've accomplished here. Certainly at IMU, that capital improvement is one of our priorities. What we're doing here, maintaining the electrical infrastructure, the water infrastructure, and communications, fiber infrastructure, that is core to our operations. That is how we connect to our customers. Just as far as, couple of the highlights, I'll hand this over to the department heads, but, on the electric, I think I mentioned this last year, but again for this year, we're seeking consistency in those dollars. Now, there are some inflationary costs that go along, but largely we're trying to kind of oscillate around that approximately $1.9 million. You'll see some years below and some above. That is a comfortable level of capital spending. I think, as discussion with Mike, that accomplishes a lot of our goals, with the added benefit of, we're not expecting or not pushing those dollars, larger and larger into the future. So the good news there is we're not putting any rate pressure, or artificial rate pressure on the electric system. While we don't know what the future will hold, I think at least in the near term, this 5 years, we're having consistency in that CIP, maintenance and accomplishing those goals without forcing a rate increase. On the water side, it's worth note there is some progression in there, and there is some increasing. That is what we had planned out. I think one of our, as a board, one of our strategic goals or strategic plan objectives are that continued improvement of the water system. It is an area, we do have work and maintenance involved in that. One objective we wanted to accomplish is to do more and more, and so you'll see those dollars increase as, basically functionally we're doing more and more water main repair. But as a highlight there, I think I'll leave it to Justin to go into the details, but, we're kind of, it hasn't been the case in a while, but in the water side, we're actually accomplishing like IMU benefiting projects, and for the past several years, we've kind of followed and helped along with the city. Justin can take the congratulations there. We accomplishing a lot of other stuff, but the big one I think that I'm most excited about is, we've got a water main project that will benefit us. There's certainly been a lot of water main breaks in that section, and this one is the first one that's not going to involve the city or be alongside the city. So it's for us and by us and around us, and so congratulations to Justin on pulling that off. I think that's a big win. Kurt's budget, I think, is probably the least interesting, the most
most boring out of the group, and I think that's great news as, you know, we don't have any planned expansions, or planned large-scale projects. This one kind of becomes more capital improvement, you know, equipment improvements, stuff you'd expect out of that, you know, technology, censored.
Can you remind me what year we're in this business?
6 now?
Is it 6 years?
I think so. 2017? So, you know, in that you'll see it becomes a little bit more repetitive. You know, that technology stuff 5 years out is a little more difficult to predict, but you know, it becomes equipment upgrades and a lot more systemic and annual. So I think that is, we talked a little bit about this last year. You know, we did add the NOFA projects for construction this year. You'll see all, you know, those in those re-estimates. But beyond that, you know, there's none of those scheduled larger scale projects. So, you know, with that, I'll kind of, we've got the capital improvement plans. Looks like the electric utility is up first. So I'll hand this over to Mike and share some of your thoughts.
Sure. So I'll just kind of go down through the list as they lay out on the sheet. We'll start with the vehicles. I'd say the big key things in there, and we've talked about this in the past a little bit, is our bigger trucks, our diggers and our buckets where they're so far out. We do have some money earmarked in there, whether or not, you know, ultimately we prefer to buy new with that just because of the longevity of them. But we have looked at the option of taking those existing trucks, sending them off, having them gone through. Now that's not the truck, that's just the boom or the bucket type, but so you still end up with a 20-plus year truck. So the other option is used out there on the market, seeing if you can find something a little newer model and upgrade that way as well with those trucks. So those will be some things we'll be looking at as we move forward into that on those bigger trucks. Otherwise, they're just standard vehicle replacements on the smaller vehicles, dump trucks, and a mini excavator at the end. Turbine substation, specialized equipment. This next year, we're looking at 69 kV relays, so that'll be our transmission line, and our 13.2 relays out of our East Iowa sub by the line shop, and then also this would upgrade the transmission relays at the west side out by the church. That would be a huge improvement for us to be able to get into that. We'll get away from the old mechanical. We'll have more digitalized electronics with that. And then we've got our SCADA controls. I know some of you were part of that as far as approving that original SCADA. Going to the west side, it was a huge project, but we're already looking, by then it'll be 6-7-year-old computers that need to be updated and upgrade that SCADA project. So otherwise, turbine paint, that's been on the out there as well for quite a while. We're hoping to we're not spending money on other parts of the turbine. We can maybe actually paint it and make it appearance-wise look a little better. There's $100,000 in there as well for the East Iowa fencing. That's mainly just the existing fence around there. There's some future we can see posts that are set in part of our it's part of our retention for oil spill containment area. So that's why there's, you know, I think $100,000 for fencing, which in today's money doesn't go as far, but there's definitely possibly some concrete walls type stuff would have to be fixed as part of that as well. We've also got out there some substation inspections. What that is hopefully going to do is we can bring in a third party where we can hopefully by then be to the point where we can take a whole substation down. And they can come in and go clear through it and hopefully find any issues that we can't do until that substation is de-energized. So just some hopefully preventive maintenance type deal coming out of that, and then that'll lead into whatever we find into future budget projects.
Hey, Mike, before you go on, just kind of a broader question. How do you identify your priorities? What's the process that you go through? Like, how do you identify what's next year, what's the highest priority, and what are those things further on?
Yeah, a lot of that is just experience as far as knowing what we're running into as far as issues. Kind of an analogy, kind of like Justin with water main breaks, where you run into a deal where we got tons of issues there, then that's where we try to attack and get it on there. And I actually, I involve my guys. I ask them too. I said, what do you see that I'm not seeing or whatever? So I take their input as well as figuring that out. But as far as the the overhead to underground, we just know the 4 kV, so we're just going after the areas as far as what makes the most sense to get as much load as we can off of that downtown that we can.
Yeah, and I wasn't necessarily talking about the overhead underground, more of the at the line shops.
Sure.
At the turbines.
Yeah, and like I say, the vehicle issue, we're fortunate we've got a lot of guys that are mechanically inclined out there, and so they work on them, and when they finally tell me we probably need to not work on these anymore when you send them down the road, then we put them in the budget.
I'm not at all questioning, because I don't have that expertise, I'm just trying to understand what you guys do.
Yep. That's probably a good question for all of you.
Sure.
Everything.
Next, any questions on turbine? Otherwise, I'll move down. Customer paid material, that's pretty much money in, money out for every year. It can change and vary quite a bit. We always earmark $100,000 for that. Transmission facilities, our hope is after this first of the year, we can get some material finally lined up to where we can get some more transmission poles changed out, and then we escalate that out through every 5 years just to help cover the cost of inflation. Project 700s, that's somebody's service that's overhead, and they're going to convert it to underground. That's that project. Line construction, this is kind of the big one for us as far as where we're headed with everything. We got the major line replacement, escalates out every year. K Street, that shows $500,000 in there with the new findings. We're hopeful we know that will change, and we won't need to spend near that kind of money at it. I'm throwing a number. I think we can do this for between less than $20,000 for sure. We can comparatively. So some of that money, instead of spending on that, you'll see in January I'll be bringing a bid document to go out for bid to do the electrical work on the south side of the square between Buxton and Howard. So it's kind of the area we put conduit in this past summer, so we can start hopefully, because doing those buildings are going to take a while, which doesn't look very big, but right now we're looking at lead times for some of the sockets for 9 months out. So we want to get rolling on this to hopefully have this completed a year from now, have that side of the square done. And then the other thing, talking about, I'll just come back to that part, the reason, and then the underground conversion projects, that's just our overhead to underground conversion projects. And then we've talked in the past about staffing, which leads into this, where we've talked about, we've got the new developments, we've got all the construction, we've got the maintenance IUB, just being able to do that internally more and having enough staff to do that. So as part of that, we're throwing in there to capitalize on one of those possibly new employees to come out of that as well, to get us where we are to be able to complete these projects and stay on time with those projects.
So Mike, as you're thinking that through, you're putting that into comparison of not needing contractors.
Correct.
So we'd be able to do that.
Yep, for sure. Streetlight replacement repairs, we're nearing the end of that, about 1.5 years more, and everything will hopefully be LED after that point. So that can then drop down to $20,000 a year. Building major maintenance, it's hard to believe that building seems still new, but we're nearing that time frame where we'll have to start fixing some things. We've seen that this last year. We had to do some furnace work out there already, and just little things, so that's what the money's there for. Computer software, The only thing I'd really note, besides anything normal from our normal ins and outs of that, digital truck radios in 2627, and that's a county-based radio system that's currently out there. We hadn't gone to that yet because of the expense of going to that. That would put hopefully radios in all of our trucks when we go to that point.
So I think you just said this, but this is gonna tie into the county comms work that they've been focusing on.
Yep, so we can go countywide and we can go near counties, and then reception's a lot better, and then we can have individual groups within that, and then we can talk to other groups as part of that. It's a lot more robust than what we have today.
Okay, Darren Heater just asked me about that, I'm like, I'm not sure where we're at with
Yeah.
that, so timing is good.
Yep. And then our standard radio read meters, same as Justin, changing those once a radio reads reached end of life, we're just swapping those out. Take any questions on the electric?
I think it's pretty straightforward,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Moving on to water.
Yeah, I'll just kind of follow what Mike did here. First one there is vehicles. You see 25, 26 would be for our new back trailer. That was new in 2015, so it gets a lot of use out of it. Saves a ton of time on main breaks and as much stuff is underground anymore. 26, 27, I have replacing a backhoe. Our old backhoe is a 1998. It's done its duty. It's
Lived its life.
yeah, like the breaker and stuff we have on it. It's actually one that the city gave us that wasn't good enough for them, so we took it. And I mean, it's good enough, but
Hand-me-downs.
we rehabbed it and used it. And then there's vehicles on there. Our oldest vehicles are they're 20, so as we get out there to 27, 28, 28, 29, we'll be replacing vehicles, just service trucks. So.
Are we starting to see the order time, lead time come back into normal ranges pre-COVID? Are we still have to order vehicles ahead and wait?
I don't think I know when we got our newest truck 23, it was on the lot. I mean, it was the last one that they had, so I don't know if we were lucky and we got it, but.
Well, I know when you drive by, the lot seems full, so
Yeah.
I don't know, I just didn't know what the availability was.
I think the half tons tend to be a little more available. There's probably still a little bit of delays on the 2.7.
More specialized.
It is definitely getting better, but it's not as available as the past.
I just asked because maybe waiting 2 years might be too long if we have to order, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And then jumping down to plant and tower maintenance, a lot of that's just updating the plant equipment. There's still a lot of equipment down there that's the original from 1997. So slowly replacing that, like you'll see for this fiscal year 24, there's $365,000 in there, just upgrading flow meters and different panels. You'll see for 24, 25, there's a big one in there. The DNR has recommended us getting a standby generator, so that's going to be a huge number there. And then as well as you see, there's $150,000 for a new plant roof. That roof is the existing roof when the plant was built. So knock on wood, it hasn't given us a ton of problems. We've had to make some repairs to it, but it's time for it to be updated.
Is that a metal roof or is that a asphalt or the shingle roof?
No, it's the rubber roof with river rock on it. So that will take care of the plant as well as the old garage building too. And then going through there is kind of just a lot of extras, just updating more plant stuff, as well as just tower maintenance cleaning as well, and the clear water plant.
I think it was Mike Browse together probably about a year, maybe less ago, had mentioned the potential for some security system upgrades out there. I don't know if you were around at that time or not. Did we ever look deeper into that, get pricing on any of that stuff?
The specifics around, we're gonna accomplish a lot of that with the solar project. The fencing and some of the security stuff. So I think it'll be a much, on our end, or on dollar, it'll be much, less, invasive, probably more camera upgrades and something about $5,000 for the project. And then maybe working with them on, the right level of security for that, doorway. So I think those are, a lot of those could simplify, so we don't have anything there, probably some big wholesale changes on that, but keep it operational.
So we believe with that investment, we will have the level of security that would be our goal.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I don't have it on here like Chris is saying. I don't think it'll be a huge expense, especially with getting a gate around the facility, and then it'll be a automated gate to get in with the pass code or however to get in. Yeah.
Do we have timelines on any of that stuff, or is that just TBD?
Right now, we don't have timelines, certainly along the big stuff, there's a lot of the solar, facilities, so beginning of next, or sorry, towards the end of next year, they're anticipating getting done by 12/31/24. I think we can probably take over and do the finishing work on the security stuff, early 25.
Okay.
Then jumping down to well maintenance, you'll see here for this year, there's $310,000 in there for wells. Well number 9 is scheduled to be pulled this year. It was last pulled in 2009. It is our oldest well and smallest well. I do have $200,000 in there for well 10, kind of as a blanket. Obviously, with the drought, we have plenty of water, but the water above the pump is getting close to where it needs to be lowered again. So, depending on what happens here this winter and spring, we'll have to really keep an eye on that. If we have to drop that pump any lower. And then there's just $30,000 across the board for our high service pumps, and that's what pumps the water up to town. So it's just, and we have 3 of those, so if we lose one, it's not a huge deal, but there's money in there for just maintenance on those. And then I guess you'll see the biggest one be for 28, 29, and not to say that's when it'll happen, but probably need to start looking into drilling a new well for well number 9, as that's the oldest well and gives us the least gallons per minute. So it's something that probably needs to be looked at. And
so just for everyone, we have dollars in there, but that is just that's our estimated debt service. So it's not a straight capital project that it'll be spending money just coming out there, and more of a discussion project for everyone that probably are right around that time frame where something would probably take $4 million. I think what we use there is get a 10-year note, 4%, and $4 million in principal.
Probably as good a guess as what you can put right now.
Yeah. So certainly we'll discuss that more as it comes, but it's a dollar placeholder.
Yep, that makes good sense. So Justin, just as the weather, the drought, it doesn't seem like it's going to change much. Will we have to do anything other than lower the pumps to accommodate if something doesn't get better?
No, there's plenty of water in the Jordan Aquifer. It's just the more you keep lowering it, then it's bigger pumps and bigger motors and stuff like that. So that's the biggest cost to it. But running out of water, no, is not a concern. It's just we have to keep going deeper and deeper, and it's just and drought isn't helping that, but it's just more and more people are drilling into the Jordan Aquifer, and that's what's
causing more stress on it.
Yeah, it's flow and pressure create area above
pump.
Yeah.
And, you know, the more flow gets stopped up north, the
The
less
less
comes down to us, and
So I worry about that. Keep awake at night, but
Yeah.
it is something that it seems like it's a reality that without the weather changing.
No, absolutely, yeah, I don't see it being in our lifetime an issue, but I mean, if it keeps going the way it is, it could be definitely.
Could be in our kids or your kids.
Yeah.
That's why we're going to Mars.
That's why you're going to Mars. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. And then just going down to valve and hydrant replacement, that's just, we just did a 3% increase out for the next 5 years, and that's just going, fire hydrants that break or gate valves that break. It's just money in there for us to use to replace those. And then down to the big one, obviously water mains. Now that streetscape's over, like Chris was saying, we have the ability to finally start doing our own projects. For fiscal year 24, there still is that one for Streetscape Southeast, which it's our project that will finish up the square now. Everything will be new around there. And then going out, it's just priority mains that have the most problematic for us. Now at any time, those could switch just from different areas. And then there's some highlighted numbers in there, and those are just numbers we threw in there for city projects, not knowing what they will
What they're
do.
gonna present.
Yep, so those dollars are in there. If we have to move those, we can,
But likely for the same type of work, just maybe different locations.
correct, yep. Yep, and then you'll see out there on 28, 29, we just threw just water main, 700,000. Hopefully we can get up to that and start replacing more water mains. And then,
sorry, Justin, which one is the one that Chris was giving you kudos for, though? That's just for water.
The 450,000.
450?
Yep.
So West Clinton, so from okay, Clinton, you get
If you remember Justin's presentation, gosh, has that been a few months ago now? Clinton was really in a desperate kind of situation, so.
yeah, so yeah, that 450,000, that's roughly 3 blocks. The engineer, so it used to be 100,000 a block. The way materials are right now, they're aiming more to that 150,000 a block. So and that's just all dependent on concrete or how many service taps and stuff like that. So hopefully prices will come back down to normal.
I think you might be fooling yourself saying that.
And then lastly on there's water meters. Like Mike said, just outdated water meters. I see that hopefully tapering off as we get out of these next 5 years. As their meters are 20-year lifespans, so we should be able to get a lot of those done.
So how many meters that we have would you consider to be in that age category? Off the top of your head, a percentage.
I don't know off the top of my head that percentage, but we have roughly 4,000 meters that
Are nearing end
are
of life?
nearing it. So that's where we're
Out of how many meters? 6,800?
6,500,
6,500.
somewhere in there.
Yeah,
So a good percentage of them are,
when we went to radio read meters, right where we were along, they bought 2,000 meters all at once. And it's those 2,000 meters that were all purchased at the same time. They didn't necessarily get installed at the same time, but they wear out more from a battery capacity. They're actually two, like, lithium batteries that are sized of AA's that last for 20 years on radio reads. They tend to fail similarly, even though you don't necessarily put it in service at the time when they were purchased.
they really
stop
intended for them to last 20 years, or you just,
Yep.
really? The lithium batteries would last that long?
Yep, yeah.
We have some that have exceeded that.
Really?
And are those soldered and then can be replaced?
Yeah.
Yes, yep. And like the new ones now, the older ones you can take apart, but by then the meters have so many millions of gallons on them that just the chambers in them and all that stuff needs to be replaced anyways. And
They're just done.
the cost is minimal to just buy new and then buy other replacement parts for them.
Okay, questions for Justin?
Just a kind of similar question to Mike, but I'm going back to the plant, and like you mentioned, that the DNR is gonna require a generator. Does the DNR come out and do inspections and require upgrades on any equipment and anything like that that's in the plant?
Yes, yep, so they do a sanitary survey every 3 years, and we just had one done this year, and back to the generator, it was recommended 3 years ago when they did it, and it was really emphasized this time, so that's why it's prioritized.
I remember that, that's come up.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it's, as long as, you know, the equipment's functional, it's okay, but I mean, they really say it's met its life expectancy, so it's time to start replacing, so that's why we.
So do we replace those with a new generator, or would we replace it with a refurbished one for our backup?
A new one. We looked, I think to get a used one, it was, at the time, this was 2 years ago, and it was roughly $600,000. So if you're gonna spend $600,
You might as well get
you can just go new, yeah.
What size generator?
I don't have it off the top of my head. I just talked to,
Yeah,
the
it's
engineer.
big.
It's big, yeah.
Other questions, Adam?
Yeah, 'cause this generator will also run, what is, the well on the plant, is that a 75 horsepower motor?
250.
Or that one's 250?
Yeah.
Okay.
250, yeah, so it'd run the whole plant, so it'd be a 250 horsepower well, plus 250 horsepower pump to pump the water uptown, as well as maintain electricity at the plant, so it's a pretty good sized generator.
You didn't mention any staffing inclusions here with some of your changes. Will you require that?
That was also brought up by the DNR, with the size of our system, and we're very unique, where our utility, we do everything from running the plant as well as distribution. I don't have it in this 5-year budget, but I would assume we'll probably have to, at some point, really look into adding another employee, and especially if we keep growing, like.
From a city perspective?
Yes, yep. And it just gets down to, you know, since we do repair all of our own water main breaks and stuff like that, it seems like most of them happen on the weekends or overnight, so, you know, vacations, if people are out of town, then you're really scrambling to, and it would also help just doing routine maintenance for the water system as well, so.
Okay. So you'll plan to bring that in maybe more as a operational kind of expense?
Yep.
Okay. Other questions for Justin?
Yep.
Kurt?
Yeah, do the same thing. We'll start top, the 2080 capital contributions. Those are the dollars we send to CFU every year to maintain the head end. They're pretty standard. There is a larger amount next year, 45,000 budgeted, and that's for the ABR conversion. That's a moving target right now on that number. We do have some dollars in the reestimate for this year as well from the bond money that we may use. With Waterloo coming on, those numbers have all kind of changed up too, so I'm just waiting for updated stuff from Cedar Falls. But 45 grand, I'm guessing, is worst case scenario. So, IPTV equipment, set-top boxes, remotes, things like that. We're not putting on a ton of customers right now, so we reuse what comes back in, so we're not buying a lot of new stuff. And that'll remain consistent over the course of the next few years. Over the air channels, this is split costs of the equipment out there in the water tower at Hillcrest. We split that with Pella. Again, 5,000 for next year, buy a new module if we need to add on any capacity. I do have 20,000 scheduled for 25, 26. ATSC 3.0 is out there. The FCC has not mandated that we're going to have to move to it, but the FCC also has a tendency to change their mind. So we'll see what happens next few years. But we'll probably leave that there and kind of just keep pushing it out as we go, because my guess is somewhere along the line they're going to mandate that we change everything, at which point we'll need to change modules out there in
How much
our
lead
system.
time do they give you when they make those changes?
You know, they're normally pretty good. They'll talk about it for quite a while, so you kind of get an idea when the dates are, and then normally it'd be a year, 2 year implementation time. Yeah, so. And the other thing too is that they may run dual systems. They may mandate that the TV stations run dual systems for a longer period too. So that may give you even more of a 3-4 year window to switch over. Customer prem equipment, that's your ONTs, things that go in the houses. Obviously, we're swapping out 844 series to the Gig Aspires. That's just kind of our conversion progress as we go forward. And then a cost escalator, just costs go up every year on those. Core network equipment, this is stuff that sits in the CO, switches, servers, things like that. We're in pretty good shape right now. Obviously, we replaced all the Cisco stuff, but certainly there could be a need for a switch or additional data server or something like that down the road, so that's why we budget those dollars. Building improvements, $80,000 in next year's budget. We really need to carve out some more space up there at South B Street. Right now, we're all kind of crammed into one open area, which worked really real well when we were launching everything. Everybody was together, but now as we keep adding more people, it gets noisier and noisier, so we would like to maybe carve out some individual offices, increase productivity, things like that.
We have space to do that.
Yeah, I think we have space to do that. We've got right now a break room that really just works as a big coffee pot place. So we're thinking about taking that area. We're flipping our kitchen over to the hallway for those of you who've been up there. The tech guys have moved over into where the break room is now, which would open up one office already and then give us a little more floor space to make offices there as well. So, because it's always fun when I walk into that room, because I'll walk in and say something and nobody will hear me because they'll have their headphones on, so they don't have to listen to each other talk. So
That's the way of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Vehicles, moves a little bit of this around since last time you saw it. Obviously, hiring a new tech. We will need a new tech vehicle, so I've got $70,000 in for next year's budget. That includes the vehicle and the space cap that goes on it as well. So, and then the 40 and 60 you see on down would be starting to take a look at replacement vehicles that we have now. The $40,000 for the plant vehicles, so the Ford Escape that we borrowed from the electric department. So it's 2012, 2013. It's got some. I drove it today. I was like, ooh, okay, it's time. But we'll try to nurse it along for another year or so, and then get that in the budget here in a couple of years. So. I always budget just a little bit for general equipment. Don't know what we're going to need out there. Plow, trailer, things like that. So that's just what those dollars are there for. Outside plant improvements for the next 2 years. Those are NOFA funds. The 325 to 300. We've got 2 more phases of the South project. Hopefully that will take care of both of those. And then after that, it's just development stuff. Again, anything that we need to redo with city projects, things along those lines. So, fiber drop materials. That's your actual cost to get the drops in the ground, conduit, and the fiber drops themselves. Budgeted 125 this year. We're actually at 135 because our numbers have stayed up. But we got 110 in for next year. It's been slowing up, but we'll see where it actually lands. So, yeah, that's what I've got on mine. So.
Again, no staff conversation.
No, not on the tech. I think we get the tech person in place. We're okay. I would love to hire somebody else on the engineering side, but I think we need to take a look at what our revenue versus costs are, especially coming onto this new transport route. There's going to be some money savings there, but obviously we spent some of that already this evening, so I kind of like to see where our revenue is in next year, and then we'll make a decision going forward on that.
All right. Questions for Kurt? Okay. Just one quick question, kind of because it's near the building that you're talking about. We've talked about with that part that's got the generators in the city now occupying, is there any work that we would need to do to that building? And if we do, where would that fall in our budget?
Right now, we don't have, that kind of is a forever kick the can down the road. We don't have that on our current 5-year building, but I mean, that's an electric project, and, the dollars involved there. At some point, we're going to need to do something, but it's definitely in the millions and doesn't, help with, it is kind of a tough, we do heat and cool and do a lot of maintenance to that building. But it hasn't been $2-3 million worth of problem yet, so, it'll be electric when it happens, but it is unfortunately a, ever in the future cost.
Can you do it in stages? Or once you start, you just do it?
When we get to that point, you get one
Yeah, take those big generators out at one time.
And I apologize, I didn't put on my, capital, sorry, I apologize, on my capital, I showed it, but I showed plant, demo
Okay.
on
that's
the
what that was.
capital, but I don't have it, a dollar amount in the 5 years, so I'm saying it's something that needs to be on our radar in the next 5 to 10 years. You know, and I think a lot of that'll have, to do with the 4KD system as well, because that kind of ties in there. If some of that stuff's out of the way, it makes demo a little bit easier as well.
So then that's that portion of the building. Now we've got the front part of the building that the city's occupying. Is there anything that we're accountable for that we would need to take care of in that building?
They're, in the contract, they're responsible for all the maintenance and upkeep, you know, so even after the next 5 years, I mean, we should find if the roof would leak, that's on them for all those, you know, usage type stuff that comes up.
All right,
Um,
all right, thank you. Any additional questions? Any comments for customer service or our administration on our capital plan?
No, we don't have any significant dollars for everything we've talked about, all falls into those capitalizations, so it'll show up, in O&M stuff.
We don't need anything else for this space.
I think we're sitting pretty good. You know, we're pretty well situated out. I know we have a transformer upgrade, you know, the one, maybe improvement that we had contemplated at some point was to put a generator on here, but, I think we're taking a little more efficient route, and going with a primary fed transformer, just knowing if this building were to ever be out because of a large outage, the first system that Mike's going to be working on is our 13.2 system, and, you know, that's if this building is set off that 13.2, operationally, it might not be as good as a backup generator, but, you're talking about, you know, $1,500 versus $50,000, and it's certainly a lot better option than currently are.
All right. Anything additional on the discussion for the 25 capital improvement budget? If not, we're going to move ahead to, I take a first and second motion to approve the resolution approving an electric service plan discussion.
Second.
So we've talked about the service plans and we actually walked them a few times ago. Anything additional that you want to highlight before we move forward with that? Any questions for the group based on the plans that were shared?
Any changes from what we discussed?
Just some cleanup stuff. I think basically the only thing that happened between now and when we discussed those draft changes, we had our legal review. They didn't change the substance of anybody, but changed the little words. They did, you know, put some dates around timely. They, you know, cleaned up some language, referenced new pilot code chapters, items like that, but didn't change the discussion in the meeting. They're just refreshing the current version.
And then I was just going to add, the only thing I'd just note in there is the security lights that customers own will go away with this as well. We discussed it before, but
Yeah.
we're going to allow them 12 months to get off of that. And we've already worked with Alicia. We've already got a list of those, and we're verifying them. And after here, by first year, we'll send a letter out to them.
Are there
notifying
many of them?
Not a ton. I don't know, 20.
Oh,
So
a handful.
it's not, yeah, it's, yeah.
Okay, good reminder, thank you.
Yep.
If no other questions or discussion related to that, Monica, would you take roll call for approval?
Yes. Smith,
Yes.
Voight,
Yes.
Selgrave,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Thank you.
The resolution for the electric plan is approved. I take a first and second motion to approve the resolution approving the water service plan discussion. Should we just rotate? There's a lot of these yet to come tonight.
Tom, did you move?
I moved.
Okay, I'll second.
All right. same question. Any additional changes or updates or highlights?
Nothing.
Okay. Questions related to the plan for water? If not, Monica, would you take roll call?
Smith,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Selgrave,
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Thank you. The water plan is approved. And we will take a first and second motion to approve the communications plan.
So,
Second.
Thank you. Same question. Any additional changes?
No, I think we just added some clarification to rural customers. We didn't have any.
Okay, so that I did when I was looking at that. That was a question. How many rural customers do we have today?
You know, I didn't look at the USOC report this month, but I'm guessing off the top of my head, a dozen
Okay.
up north, yeah.
And so then, as we think about kind of our plans, north and south, do you expect that to change much in the 24-25 budget year?
For additional rural customers, yeah, I think we'll pick up probably at least that many again down south.
So we'll double it?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If not, Monica, would you take roll call to approve the communications service plan?
Yes. Selgrave,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Voight.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay. The communication plan is also approved, so we file those now somewhere.
Yeah, we'll publish those, get them for written publication and put them on our website here in a couple of days.
Combined electric, water, and communications informational items.
I have a couple mean committee meetings throughout the week this week. I think largely more budget work, but the one exciting project I think we talked about some time ago. Mean was working with or purchasing a portion of hydroelectric. They closed that. That's up operational, and at the first of the year we should have a new portfolio that'll. It's another 44 megawatts of hydroelectric, I think, that they're purchasing. Progress towards that diversity and power supply. So again, we're working to not be concentrated in one particular area. So that is a good, really good progress towards that.
So as we think about our updates that we put in our billings, maybe mid to late year, it would be good to re-highlight kind of Lee's strategy about where their investment is in the different types of energies and how they're moving forward, based on your decisions now.
Yeah, I think around mid-year we should have their new production reports for this year and what their expectations are for last year. And as we see that, I think what should get highlighted kind of.
I just think the more, we've had lots of conversations about our community, has lots of questions about the main contract, and I think it's gotten better, and the more we can continue to highlight the progress and their strategic thinking and how we're moving forward, I think that just helps our community have a better sense for what we're trying to support.
Yeah, no, I think there'll be some opportunity in the middle of next year.
Okay, good. Other items in combined? Anything from customer service or HR? Okay. All right, at this point then, I would take a first and second motion to enter into a closed session. So
Second. You gotta read them all.
one at a time.
Drink some water.
Monica brought me cough drops tonight, just in case I might need them. So first and second motion to enter into closed sessions in accordance with Iowa Code Section 388.9, Trustees 1, to discuss marketing and pricing strategies and proprietary information of Telecommunications Division, whose competitive position will be harmed by public disclosure that is not required of potential or actual competitors, and no public purpose is served by such disclosure. Do we have to take roll call to go into that?
Yes. She asked.
So we'll do that after you all leave?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, and hope that everybody has a great holiday. enjoy your time off and time with family.